All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having yourselves a fantastic start to your Monday. Welcome back. Hope you all had yourselves a good trading week there last week. And yeah, let's kind of get after it here this morning and hopefully have ourselves a good trading day. From an economic calendar perspective, today should be, I don't know, reasonable-ish, right? We do have some busy stuff here this week, right? We got CPI tomorrow. It's annoying. Forex Factory changed my times to West Coast. That's not what I want. Okay. So today we got factory orders. No one cares. ISM tomorrow, fine, reasonable. Fed speak this week, nothing too crazy. Cool. And yeah, I think that's going to set up an interesting day or two. Yeah, I mean, truth be told, last week was nice to go out and do some stuff, but it didn't really end up being too much of a holiday. Spent the vast majority of time helping people with their tech issues. But yeah, let's get after it. No one cares. So today, right, ES, green candle, decreasing volume, gap down, or sorry, gap up, sorry. 2 out of 3 to the upside without volume. We're looking at a 74.30 as our starting point. And then we're at all-time highs, right? So then you go up to like 75, something like that, right? 74.40, 74.50, 74.60. $7,500 is insane. To the downside here, we're looking at 73.90 as our starting point. Okay, that's plenty of space for us in either direction. So it looks reasonable enough here this AM. All right, NQ. So green, decreasing volume, gap up. So again, 2 out of 3 to the upside without volume. And we're looking 30K. It's nuts. This is honestly one of the crazier squeezes I have seen maybe ever. Like, absolutely incredible move. 28%. 28%. You gotta be fucking kidding me. From end of March. Crazy. Yeah, this is just a straight up gamma squeeze, right? But pretty nuts. And we're at what? 29,300 here pre-market. We're looking at 29.4, 29. Yeah, I'll go 29.4. You know, the big thing here, right? We had 6 months where the markets didn't move, and now we've had let's say 45 days where the markets have squeezed like crazy. So that's what happens, right? When you get a huge period of consolidation, you get a huge pop, right? Because everyone's loading up, everyone's charging, and there ends up being like a lot of pain that can be created effectively, right? There's a lot of people that were offside chasing that move. And so that creates a very aggressive environment to get the good continuation story. That's what we're dealing with. Who knows how long it's going to keep going for? There's a lot of like baked in sentiment and potentially a lot of like geopolitical stuff that might get settled in the next little bit, right? Like even, well, I know we've all forgotten about it, but like even Putin's like talking about, you know, the war in Ukraine potentially coming to an end. I don't know what that means. But, you know, it sets up the market potentially to price in even more good news. Market generally is forward looking, so you know maybe it's going to start being priced in. But hey, the summer of Trump, right, might be a very squeezy market for us, and if that's the case, we're going to have a lot of opportunities to the upside, regardless of your political opinions. And I have very few. This is a president that is obsessed with the V-shaped recovery. And that's something that we can for sure continue to take advantage of. I can't get used to the 29 though. That's madness. Don't call 3,000 insane. To the downside here, you're looking at 29.2. Whoops. All right, that's plenty of space there to the downside in either direction. Okay, CL. So pretty thin volume here. Red decreasing, gap down. So 2 out of 3. Whoops. And the next couple weeks from the market are also going to be quite interesting, just because there's like some operational changes, right, that are happening basically to markets. So the PDT rule, right, is I guess being retired, if you want to call it that, or at least sidelined for now. Means people are going to be able to trade on margin instead of having to abide by the PDT. That's going to open up a lot more trading opportunities for people. And then CME is introducing, right, the single stock futures pretty soon. They released the list of names that they're going to be doing it for. They're all the names that we cover here on a daily basis, but that's also going to open up a whole new avenue of trading opportunities for us, right? That's going to be pretty exciting. Apple, 2 out of 3 with vol. Tesla, again, increasing volume, so 2 out of 3. Setting up as an inside bar, though. Microsoft, red decreasing, gap down. Without. This sets up as a mean reversion. Amazon, green decreasing, gap down. AMD, 3 for 3. NVIDIA, 1 for 3. Weird. Meta, red, increasing gap down. So 3 for 3. Correct. Yeah, Bill, correct. Netflix, 3 for 3 to the downside. Not exactly an enthusiastic one. Google, green, decreasing gap down. So 1 for 3. And then VIX, 18. That's actually a little bit surprising. So implied range of about 1.2%-ish this morning, which is decent range. So it looks interesting enough. How's everyone feeling? Everyone feeling good today? Good. Should be an interesting session. Now it's a 1 for 3, so we'll see how it goes. Any questions before we get started here? We got 2 minutes before market open. Any questions? Any questions, team, before we get started? Any questions? What's up, Rusty? All right, so we got a good amount of people in here so far. So figure we should talk about a few little operational things that are changing, or some feedback I got on how to like continue improving the business and the experience here for everybody. So I think one thing that has proven to be really successful here so far for people has been the group coaching, right? So the group coaching calls Tuesdays and Thursdays have proven to be very effective, because I think a lot of people are able to get their questions answered a lot faster, right? And oftentimes people just need like 1 or 2 of their things answered when they don't necessarily, need like an hour to answer something. And so the group coaching calls or the office hours, I think, are really effective. What we're going to be doing here is expanding those offers, those group calls. So we're going to be doing like a daily office hour. We'll call it Monday through Thursday, probably not on Fridays, because I think Fridays, just the show rate's going to be super, super low. So we're going to be doing those on a daily basis. Time-wise, this is where you guys can have some input here, right? Over what time of day we do them. I think there'll probably be some value to there being like a couple of days where it's one time, a couple of days where it's another time, so we can get a reasonable spread, so more people can access them. I know for some people, the near dinner times aren't always super effective, or they're just a little bit of a reasonably, like, you just want to have your life to a certain extent. So I think for a lot of it, we're going to do, I think the Tuesday, Thursdays, continually doing the 5:30, 8:30. I think time is pretty reasonable. So 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. And I think the other 2 days, so Monday, Wednesday, we can do them at a slightly different time. The goal here, long term, is to take every single question that gets asked in those in those group calls, and turn them into like a video playlist, right, or a searchable video playlist. And I think and that should be fairly reasonable. KYC should not be a blocker for you, Doug. I would recommend, yeah, if you are getting a blocker, it shouldn't be blocking you. If it is, try clearing your cookies and your cache to be able to do it, or try logging into your account from a private browser, as that shouldn't be a blocker here. But let's see. It's a good size open, not great volume though, all things considered, right? Actually, a little bit better than I thought. So personally, right, I didn't trade at all last week, right? Obviously did watch the market a little bit, but wasn't really watching it during the trading day. So for me today, I'm going to be really just focused on not doing anything stupid, right? So first day back, market, squeezing, makes it feel as if, oh, I'm going to miss out a lot, or I got to do this, or I got to do that, or whatever. You want to fight those limiting thoughts or limiting beliefs here this morning. Control the variables we can control. And for me, that means being structured, disciplined, focused, right, with my execution. I don't want to get stuck in a scenario where I'm placing like 60 trades here today. Would love to be a one and done type scenario. We'll see if that ends up happening. But that's the main objective here, right? Let's see if we can find something that's high conviction, and hopefully we can put together a reasonable plan here this morning. Second candle of the day, never really expect that to be increasing volume. It does happen every now and then, but rare. Didn't see that happen here today, so we're still waiting for that increasing outlier. We'll see if she shows up here at some point, but yeah, let's cross that bridge when we get to it. I will say one thing that was really promising, right, is last week there were multiple people who submitted payouts and got payouts. There's people who are still stuck. Should be fixed here as soon as possible, but that's also really positive, right? I think from my perspective, like what I'm trying to do here is trying to teach you guys how to fish, or teach everyone how to fish, not to fish for you. And so seeing that kind of play out in real time was honestly really, really promising. I really enjoyed seeing that. Yeah, hopefully we can, get everyone paid here this week, but excited to see what's in store for us. Bearish engulfing candle, not bearish engulfing on volume. So we still got a little bit of time here before we end up having to do anything. We did have like a little bit of a mixed bag narrative, right, from our leading names. Like a lot of them were setting up to give us more of a sign of consolidation versus continuation, right? Like a lot of the opens were in the implied middle of Friday's range. So that potentially does set up for a day of consolidation. We'll see if that ends up being the case, but yeah, let's see. Any thoughts, team, on the times you guys want to do for the Monday, Wednesday group calls? Any thoughts there? Any general consensus across the team? What are times that work for everybody? So 6:30, 9:30. Anything else? 4:30. We can effectively do two windows, right? So we can do like 2 days we could do, one time, 2 days we could do another time, right? And kind of have a bit of a spread there for everyone to be able to have access. That's really the primary objective here, right? The more people we can get into those calls on a daily basis, the more useful and more helpful they're going to be. Yeah, I mean, 9:30 is late, right? And truth be told, guys, like I don't want to be setting myself up where I have to do, 16-hour days. It's not super fun. We do want to find a reasonable time here that works for everybody. More mic. Okay, maybe like Monday, Wednesday, we do a slightly earlier time. Well, noon PST, David, is you already get that coverage, right? Because you get the 45 minutes after the stream ends, or after we're done trading. So you already have that covered, right? We always spend, once the trading day is done, we spend 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes sitting around answering questions. So that's already covered. So I'd prefer to not have like double overlap like that, because that's already something you have access to. So that's probably not a super great use of our time. Well, resets should still work. The reset pack accounts are, I can't keep offering those guys as at the 80% discount to you all. I lose money on each of those accounts. And I lose money from just what it costs for me to run the data and to pay for the subscriptions and things like that, right? So I can't offer at those prices. It costs me $35 per account in fees. So selling, 3 accounts for $100, I ended up losing a lot of money on that, and it's fine. But to continue that pace forever, I will go bankrupt, and this will have to all end, which I don't particularly want. Like long term, this only works if it's all sustainable, right? And we can actually afford to get people to move to live. Like just for full disclosure, right? Right now, about 32, 33% of people in that range have live funded accounts with positive payout balances, right? So that means of all of our active current accounts, about 1/3 of you, so about 70 of you in here, are payout eligible, which is amazing. But it also means, right, that very expensive. So we have to make sure that the math works so we can sustain this and keep pushing and keep growing. Otherwise, I'll need like 15 million to be able to do this. That's not, unfortunately, not a number that I have access to. I have a weird morning volume profile here. Oh, that's not true, Robert. You for sure have. Okay, so we have increasing volume. We need it to break out though over like this, right? So even though this is going to be increasing outlier, our resistance here is at yes. So yeah, we do need to clear above that level. I'm obviously not going to do it here on this candle. even though that is good enough volume, we don't have an active setup trigger. It's a fine candle. Yeah, it's fine. Nothing wrong with it. Call that normal body bullish, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But it's like, good candle and good volume, but prior to our setup trigger, it effectively means nothing. What adventures I have in Vegas? I went to Zion National Park, which was a lot of fun. Did that on Monday. But then Tuesday, spent all day working on people's tech issues. Wednesday, did the Hermosi event. Thursday, all day tech issues. Friday, travel day. So I didn't really get that much time off. Oh, it was awesome. Did a nice run, about like 25, 26 kilometers, something along those lines. It was strange. I got like a lot of stolen valor when I was doing that run. So I was running past people and they were like, I got a lot of like Rangers lead the way, or Navy SEALs are built different and all this kind of stuff. I couldn't believe it because I'm like 165 pounds soaking wet. So clearly not a Navy SEAL build. No, I didn't play any. I didn't do any gambling. But everyone was like so shocked that I was running. It was wild. And I was just laughing, like I'm Canadian. Like we don't have a military culture. Or well, we do, but it's like executing prisoners of war in World War One. I'll tell you guys a story or a little history lesson. So, yeah, when World War One kicked off, Canada joined the fight right away with the British, and the Canadians got a reputation of being absolute psychos. Our probably biggest accomplishment in that war was the taking of Vimy Ridge, which is a hill in France. And the one thing that the Canadians did there is every day for a couple months, they would take their spare rations of food and they would throw it from their trenches to the German trenches. So they would take their tins of tuna, whatever the heck they were eating, and they would throw them over to the Germans. And they did this for a couple weeks until the Germans got like used to the food getting thrown over. After a couple weeks of doing that, they started to throw grenades instead of the tins of food. So it's like, oh, Canadians, nice people, huh? Yeah, exactly. Those suggestions. We've done a good job here not chasing anything yet. I'm a little bit surprised, but yeah, we did Pavlov them into submission. That sounds very gentle and polite. We don't really have any significant 10 a.m. data here this morning, so we're kind of just looking for a price structure reaction, not necessarily a news-driven breakdown here yet. We're kind of just consolidating now in like 150 point range. You have to be a little bit patient, unfortunately. Yeah, like the market's been in full-on squeeze mode, right, for the last 3 or 4 weeks, so it's not necessarily surprising for it to catch its breath. We'll see what happens. I did have some nice food, yeah. We went to a really nice restaurant with Alex and his team on the Wednesday, which was a lot of fun. I think it was like Ocean something. It was in the Aria Hotel. Massive seafood tower, and that was great. No, I was working with him directly, like me and 7 other businesses. He spent about 90 minutes on each business, which was pretty cool. So kind of hoping now, right, for a green to red breakout. So we're looking, or maybe most likely opportunity for a decent trade would be on a flush through like 280. The main thing that I probably became very aware of is I am personally making my life more difficult than I need to. And that's preventing me from putting my energy and my focus into things that actually move the needle for me and move the needle for you guys. So, getting to a point where I can get back to compounding instead of just, I don't know, continuing, I guess, is probably the path forward. Yeah, I did watch that. The general consensus actually from asked a few of Alex's team members, I guess, about that. And none of them liked that podcast. Which I thought was interesting. And they didn't like his Tony Robbins interview. Like they thought that Tony was trying to big dog Alex a little bit. That was the sort of the feedback they gave. And we're still kind of stuck. We're like, 40 points away from our setup trigger here. So we're still a little bit of chilling here. I mean, the other thing that people should be aware of, I'm trying to get this feedback more and more. Just so you guys are aware, right? Back office at daytraderfunding.com is not some Pakistani or Indian or Ukrainian response farm. It is me, right? So I want people to be aware of that, right? Just so we're clear. A lot of people maybe don't behave in the fairest way in those messages. Let's see here, 30 points, 20 points. Let's see. I have a chance for this candle to be increasing volume. And if we can break down through the initial morning low, that would be a good start. So about 30 points away. Again, good enough candle shape, not enough volume, right? We're not going to call that increasing outlier. And then obviously no setup trigger here yet. We're kind of just stuck in the middle with you here. Yeah, home sale is not a big deal. Honestly, no one cares. Yellow folder, right? So not exactly anything particularly interesting. Yeah, outlier volume is like, guys, we're not just chasing outlier volume, right? We need outlier volume after our setup triggers, right? So outlier volume in the middle of the opening range, it's effectively as if there is no outlier volume. We don't care. It's just random. It's just noise. So it's irrelevant. We need either a breakout above that blue line, right? Or we need a breakdown through the low of the opening range. That's it. When we get that to occur, right, or if one of those things happen, then we're going to start looking for outlier volume. So we got to remember the order of operations here. It's setup, confirmation, execution, not confirmation, setup, execution, or execution, confirmation, setup, or however, whatever combo might exist. So having big volume in the middle of the range means absolutely nothing to me. It doesn't trigger any interest whatsoever in looking for a tradable opportunity, right? Because what we're looking for here is the setup, right? When the setup triggers, that tells us that we need to start to refine our focus, or we got to start to pay attention to what the market is telling us. Once we're aware that we should be paying attention to what the market is telling us, then we want to apply the filter of strength to know if our idea is correct, right? Which is where the volume and candlesticks come from. We can't skip those steps or screw up that order of operations, because we'll just start confusing ourselves. The whole point of confirmation is that once a setup occurs, we want to be confident that the idea is correct. And in trading, right, it's a supply and demand game. So if we're all looking at something, we're all looking for a breakout, and you see no volume supporting that breakout, well, you know that you're not winning the supply-demand equation. But if you get that volume increasing and you see that strength and you see that outlier momentum show up, then all of a sudden you've got a lot more confidence that your idea is actually reasonable and you're going to get some follow-through. But it should also be clear here, team, right? Like we do the same thing every single time, right? And so just not having that order of operations clear in our head, like there's zero excuse for that at this point. It's the same thing every single time, right? We've I don't know how many videos we've made about the setup triggers and when they happen and the order of operations for the confirmation and things like that. Like we have to get this squared away and straight in our heads, because we will expend too much mental capital being wired on judging each candle by candle, hoping for a winning trade, right? We got to get that order of operations correct. It's setup, confirmation, execution. Our setup triggers are breakout through the opening range high, breakout through high a day, reversal under the opening range low, right? After a failed breakout. Those are your bullish setups, your bear setups, right? Breakout through the opening range low, breakout through low of day, reversal on a failed breakout above high a day, right? When we have one of those 6 things happen, that's when we start to look for candlesticks and volume, right? Candlesticks and volume don't give us a setup. They only can confirm if a setup is strong or weak. And we need to have this information rock solid in our brains. If it isn't, right, and like we're going to skip those steps, then we are missing out on the core foundational ideas that we are focusing on. And so if we're going to ignore the very first thing in our setup process or in our execution process or in our trading process, if we're going to neglect our ability to manage that information correctly, then everything else breaks downstream, right? So from like a foundation starting point, this has to be rock solid. And truth be told, it is not so complicated that we can't all figure it out, right? We've got 3 setups, bullish and bearish, right? So 6 total. These are easy to remember. And the order of operations is really simple around how we structure our behaviors around those setup triggers. And look, you're more than welcome to chase every random candle you want. Go for it. But you're not going to get the results you want because you're not going to have a repeatable process, right? It's the whole point of having the structure and having the system in place and having this order of operations is that if something starts breaking, it's obvious what it is. But if I'm just chasing random outlier volume candles or a random volume profile or a random XYZ, then the pattern that makes me money and the pattern that loses me money is not particularly clear and obvious. And all that does is it takes me 6 months, 12 months, 18 months to figure out what's actually making me money or losing me money or preventing me from being the trader that I want to be. So we can skip a tremendous amount of heartache and time by just getting that order of operations correct. That's the whole point of it, right? It's the whole point why we are systematic in our technique. Because if we do the same thing every single time, it's obvious what breaks, right? Or what isn't working. And then you can isolate the variable and test solutions. So instead of having to guess if it's your stop loss or if it's your setup trigger or if it's your entries, you just know what it is because everything else will be fine, but one thing will be broken and then you fix that thing. So that exists to save everyone a lot of time and heartache, and it will speed up your learning curve if you just commit to learning that process and you just spend a day practicing it. Everyone understand? It's the fundamentally most important concept here, team, right? Fundamentally, the most important concept. We cannot waste our energy on things that don't provide us value. Right? And energy is both mental capital and our P&L. Right? So we don't want to be just taking punts and throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. We want to be deliberate in our technique so that we can fix things when they're broken. No, it takes forever too. Most people don't have a trading problem, they have a filter problem, right? And then the trades that they take that are outside of their filter demolish their edge, right? Coach Jared, congratulations. And I have said this in the past, and I'll say it again, right? Especially with the new rules that are coming in. I think it's like first week of June. The PDT stuff means that it's even easier to now fund your own personal live account, right? The sooner you're trading your own personal live account, the better. Right? There's no bullshit. There's no hassles. No one can say no. And you have all the upside in the world. So take your payouts, right? Use it to fund 10, 15, 20 grand into your personal account and trade that, right? It'll be like having 2 or 3 or 4 or 550K accounts worth of drawdown. You will have a tremendous amount of upside. And if you're able to consistently get payouts, you will make more money trading a live account. You will have better tax advantages trading a live account. And you will be fully in control over your income. Those are all positives. So the whole goal of prop firms isn't for them to become your gravy train, right? Although they can be. Your goal with prop firms is to use it to fund your personal trading account so that effectively you're trading risk-free. The PDT rule, the pattern day trader rule, is something that was, basically established by the exchanges, right? So if those limits aren't being enforced or they're not being demanded by, brokers have no incentive to keep them, right? It limits their ability to generate new funds. Well, I mean, like I just said, Paco, like 10, 15, 20 grand. That gives you a lot of upside. Now, different brokers are going to have different margin requirements. And these rules don't come into effect, guys, until like the first week of June, right? So we still have a little bit of time before they're live and implemented. And so I have no clue on how long certain brokers are going to take to adopt those changes in their own personal businesses. So it's going to be dependent on each individual company. Again, broker by broker. I can't give you generalities. At 20K, you're above the PDT threshold anyway. So, wouldn't be relevant to your situation, Reboof. For options, it's 25K. Or for single stocks, it's 25K. Guys, all brokers are effectively the same, right? The differences are going to be in their specific margin requirements, right? And so every broker is going to have different margin requirements. Commissions are set by the exchange, so there's not going to be a difference in commissions. The thing you care about more than anything is your broker a direct access broker, or are they selling your flow, right? So like a company like Citadel, for example, Ken Griffin's big conglomerate, they make their money because they buy flow from brokers and then execute it on the exchange. Other brokers, like Interactive Brokers, they have direct exchange access, and so they don't send your order to a middleman, basically to execute it, right? Now, realistically, there's not going to be a tremendous amount of difference in either one of those options. They're all going to be reasonable and fine and all get the job done. And there's a lot of rules and regulations around brokerages. So again, like I wouldn't lose sleep, right? Like your broker's not going to be the reason you're profitable or not. Yeah, well, Robinhood's not a direct access broker. And yeah, them preventing people from buying or selling GameStop during that squeeze was fucking insane. Like the least capitalistic thing they could have ever possibly done, which is ridiculous from a brokerage. And guys, it's 2026. Everything works on Mac and PC. A little bit surprised of the divergence between ES and NQ. Maybe means that NQ will want to catch up here eventually, but we still got to break out above that 36. I don't track the correlation like on a day-to-day basis. And I would say that, no, I mean, it looks really similar, right? I wouldn't say that there's any significant difference here. Right? The main difference is going to come from ES having more oil exposure, right, than NQ. So you would have just gotten a few more random spikes when the Strait of Hormuz stuff was all kicking off. That's really going to be the only difference. But all things considered, pretty much identical. Again, good volume, but in the middle of nowhere, right? So not relevant to us yet. We still need to see a breakdown under like 280-ish. Looks like 281. Yeah, I mean, you could view that as a reversal. Yeah, failed breakout, right? So failed breakout above high a day, then followed up by increasing outlier volume. Yeah, no problem. Okay, let's see how this closes. Not a good enough close. We have to switch this off to a different time frame. Pretty much all across the board. So we still have to wait. Right? This is a failed setup, right? Or actually a failed confirmation. Setup occurred on a breakout through the low of day. Confirmation would have been break, close, and hold under low of day with increasing outlier volume. So we never get to the volume filter because we didn't get the break, close, and hold under low of day, right? So we need some sort of break, close, and hold here under these lows. Otherwise, this is not worth my money. Okay, better. Let's see how this thing closes here now. It's fine, right? Nothing wrong with that candle whatsoever. Looking at something like that. We want to see that little fake out first, right? Okay, so you're looking at, was it 284 as your stop loss? Oh, 284 is fine. Okay, I'm gonna have to be a little bit higher now. Hasn't made a lower low, so this is not a huge concern yet. 289 now is what we're looking at. Yeah, it didn't make a lower low. So we're still chilling here for now. A little low vol pullback. Still no reference price, right? So no reason to be hyper aggressive here. Realistically, I'd probably wait for a little fake out now above 314, right, on that inside bar. We're still waiting here, right? There's your 314. Let's see if this now flushes back under. Looking at 320 with a reference price about 311. We need to see it get under. So it's not a reference price yet. We need to see it get under, right, that blue line, which it just did. So now we're looking here for a gentle pullback, right, into like that 312 area. That's 29,321 stop loss. Give it a second, give it a second, give it a second. Okay, so now you're looking at 331 and likely, right, going to be breaking and holding above our confirmation high. So we've just invalidated our confirmation, right? So no reason to jump in here. We have to wait. Thing about this being a reversal, right? A reversal from what, right? When you're looking for a reversal, you want to see a separation away from the opening range, right? So you want to see it bouncing off of the red line, right? Or like 100 or something along those lines. This just tells us consolidation, right? Doesn't tell us that it's a failed move. You're looking for a reversal after a failed breakout, after a sustained move lower. The 5-min doesn't tell us that. Because it was the high of the confirmation candle, right? So we want to see a fake out above that. And then the high of our confirmation would have been the reference price. Come on, guys, these are basics. look, when you saw my line, AB trades drawn, it was at the high of that red candle, right? So like if that doesn't answer your question, I don't know like what other information you're looking for. Right? And I'm not trying to be a dick here. But like I don't know how else to make it more obvious than that, right? If we can't put two and two together. Yeah, but dude, it's just I'm drawing a line out, right? Like I'm not, you see me, I'm not zooming in here. Okay, I gotta make sure it's exactly this, right? No, I'm just, okay, it looks like this. I draw my line, that becomes the reference. Let's not galaxy brain this, please, guys. Fuck it out. Like how I do one thing is how I do everything. So if you look at my daily prep, right? Look at the numbers I have here. 29,400, 29,500, 29,600. Just rounding it up or rounding it down, right? We don't need to complicate things more than that. If we can't put two and two together, I don't know. Don't play games where you're expected to lose. Like just because you can have $100 stop loss, it doesn't mean that should be a trade you take. Guys, we've been stuck in consolidation here all day. There is no trend to this daily market right now. You don't need to place a trade to feel alive. You can get your validation from something else in your life, and I would recommend that a lot more than getting validation from the market. The best way to save yourself is to not waste your time, energy, and money on something that isn't going to work, right? At some point here, we got to stop the self-sabotage and just stick to our rules, right? The number one rule of systematic trading is that you always follow the rules. If we're going to make up stuff in the middle of a day because we want to feel alive, we're gamblers disguised as traders. And gamblers lose money constantly. And so you think, right, you have this like logical fallacy that, oh, if I trade more, I do this, I do that. Oh, I think it's going to be green, that I'll get there faster. And maybe 1 day or 2 days, you'll do really, really well. And then on day 3, when you try that, it'll all blow up in your face. You have to start again from zero. So like, you know, embracing that delayed gratification and not looking for validation from your P&L is going to solve 99% of your issues. And no amount of one-on-one calls or group calls or anything along those lines is going to fix that. That is just a decision that you have to make with you and yourself. No one else can force you to do that. No one else can tell you to do otherwise. Like, guys, here's the reality, right? No one is coming to save you, right? You have to save yourself, right? I can't go over there and shake you by your shoulders and tell you to wake the fuck up. It doesn't work like that. I can only provide a reasonable amount of coaching when you're actually following my strategy, right? When you're following my trading rules, then I can help you. If you're going to do your own thing and then you're going to ask, Michael, why is this not working for me? All I'm going to be able to tell you is, hey, you're not following the rules. You're taking trades you shouldn't. Maybe you should stop doing that, right? Can't help you build up any other resistance to that, right? You have free will. And right now, most people execute their free will to do things that make themselves feel better, not actually make them any money. And then they have this like, woe is me mentality of, I can't believe it didn't work out. I spend all this money on this program, all this kind of stuff. But they're not actually doing what the program is teaching them to do. At some point, we have to be responsible for our own problems and participate in things the way that they were designed. That is how you will get a good result. And if you're not going to be accountable to yourself, right, or you're going to take steps that pass on that burden of accountability to something or someone else, you're not going to make it. Like, I guarantee that. Not going to work out, right? And so this perception that you're doing things the easy way is tricking yourself from actually doing things the right way. The thing that drives me the most insane is people constantly complaining about their overtrading. Right? Do you know how easy it is to stop overtrading, guys? You stop, you walk away, you go do something else with your life. Like, it is not fucking hard. And yet we make it as this like big boogeyman that I had no choice but to keep trading after I had a green day. And then by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, all my P&L was gone and I felt sorry for myself. Like, just stop. Right? Sounds good, Kiki. We'll see you tomorrow. And only you have the ability to stop. I can't stop for you. Right? And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, I'm sure. But if I thought I had an edge trading all day, I would trade all day. It'd be a lot more fun than doing one-on-one calls or group calls or solving people's tech issues or doing things like that. Right? So joining a coach version of a prop firm or joining this program or doing whatever does not mean that you can give away all of your self-control to someone else. All I can do here is show you what I do, walk you through my process, explain what I'm doing, and hope that you choose to make the right decisions. If you choose to do the opposite, nothing I can do to help. Can't come over there and smack some sense into you. It doesn't work. And no fund, no employer would do that either. They'll just fire you, right? You have to be accountable to yourself because no one else is coming to save you, right? Trading is a me versus me thing. And if I'm going to pass on my responsibility to myself to someone else, then I'm no longer playing the me versus me game, right? I'm looking for a shortcut, and shortcuts in trading always take you longer. Always. What's the setup trigger? Holy shit. Like, what's the setup trigger? Start with step one, right? What's the setup? Yes, we still need to break out through high of day. The 1032 candle is not a breakout from the opening range. So no, that's not the setup. What's the setup? This green candle, right, this 1032 candle, it could only be an active setup, right, for a reversal. What's required for a reversal? A failed breakout through low of day, right? There is no failed breakout here to the downside, right? We didn't make a lower low. So there is no setup here, right? So it's not a reversal because it didn't trigger that criteria. So now, right, we're looking for a breakout above there or a breakout below there or a reversal that fails to hold above that blue line or a reversal that fails to hold under that blue line. We have four possible things that we can look at here now. none of which are active, none of which have triggered. Like, why are we complicating things so much more than they need to be? I don't get it. Guys, we just went over this, right? How can I look for an entry if I don't have an active setup or confirmation? Why are we skipping 2 out of the 3 steps? Because if I wasn't live streaming, no, I would have my zone of focus and I would just walk away when things aren't behaving the way that I expect. Like the feedback I would give to everyone here today, because this is driving me nuts. We have spent all day talking about the correct order of operations on our setup, confirmation, execution, right? It's 3 unique steps, right? We got to stop skipping them just so that we can feel alive. It's not going to work. It's not going to make you any money. But why do we keep going back to that same thing? Oh, I got no setup, but is this an entry? Oh, I've got no confirmation, but is this an entry? The fuck, guys. What are we doing here? Right? Like, we got to get that order of operations correct. If we're going to continually skip those steps, we're just going to spin in circles. And it's so unnecessary. Guys, I have 6 possible setups. None of them are based on an indicator that I set up on a daily basis. What are we doing here? same thing every single day, every single trade, every single time. Nothing changes. It's a breakout through the opening range high. It's a breakout through high of day. It's a failed breakout through low of day, right, for a reversal. Or it's a breakout through the opening range low, a breakout through low of day, or a failed breakout above high of day. That's it. It's the only thing I'm looking at. So why are we constantly obsessing over trying to make things more complicated and then asking if there's something else different that I trade besides those 6 things? It's all we've done for the last 18 months. Why would it be different now? But Dave, it's not new folks that are asking these questions. People who have been here for 6 months. That's what I don't understand. You see those red lines? Right? Should be closer to that red line than the box. Otherwise, what is it reversing from? Compression? That means nothing, right? Failed breakout means that you've had a breakout, right? Yeah, it wasn't a weird trading day. It was a day of consolidation, right? And it's what we expected based on what our pre-market prep told us, right? Because everything on the daily time frame was opening up in like the middle of its ranges. Nothing here is particularly surprising or shocking or like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. Right? Because I don't know why I someone's put myself through this shit. I don't know, Theo, we've just spent the last 2 hours answering everyone's questions. Like, what else could people ask today now? Just curious. Fuck's sake. I mean, your setup here, you would have had a fine breakout at 944. This would have held above, and you would be able to target that 2R range, no problem. So I can't see why that 29,000 would have been a barrier. You would have had two chances to enter, either on the first increasing volume candle or on the second. Either would have been a reasonable setup. No, the single greatest skill you can develop is not the ability to stay in a good mood. The single greatest skill you can develop is for your actions to match your words and to match the intention of what you want out of life. Everyone says that they want to be a profitable trader. Everyone says that they want to be successful. Everyone says that they want to own all their time. 99% of people do the complete opposite of the outcomes that would actually get them to those goals. Being in a good mood or a bad mood is irrelevant. It is temporary. Pursuing your true purpose in life is an absolute. And if you're not going to put all of your energy, courage, enthusiasm, effort into that, then the fuck do you think is going to happen, right? And if you're looking for the market to make you happy or to make you sad, you're doing this the wrong way. And if you expect me to like hold your hand and pat your head and say everything is going to be okay, then Christ, you don't know me at all. Any other questions here, team? Any other questions? Remember, guys, no one is coming to save you, right? And no one's coming to save me. So we have to be the masters of our own domain and hold ourselves to a higher standard. And if you're not interested in doing that, that's fine, right? But that's your choice. That's not a reflection on me. It's not a reflection on anyone here. Our strategy, our math, our technique has proven to be profitable across hundreds of traders. At some point, it isn't a me problem, or it isn't a Kath problem, or a Leonard problem. It's a you problem. And if you get comfortable and happy solving you problems, you'll probably be a lot better as a trader. Call today, guys, will be at 4:30 Eastern. So after market closes, 1:30 Pacific. We'll see how that goes. We'll play around with timings this week, but we'll see how that goes. That'll be the starting point. Tomorrow we'll do evening. We'll do like one after market closes, one in the evening. We'll mix up that that batch. Okay. All right. See ya.